Hello, and my name is Pete Rushmer, and I'm your host today of A Half Dozen Things podcast. A Half Dozen Things is a podcast for business owners just like you. Whether you're an underdog hungry for success, or you're already smashing it but want to continue to level up, we are here each week for you to get insight and learning from the very best in the business. No fluff, no BS, and no self-proclaimed gurus talking about how easy business or life is. Hello, and welcome to this episode of A Half Dozen Things podcast. And I'm talking about motivation again, because it's such an important part of our overall performance, both personally and as a business as well. So, as I've discussed previously, I believe that performance is around our direction and our focus. It's about the skills we have, and then it's also about our motivation and the energy that we put into the work that we do. So intrinsic and extrinsic motivations are something that mean quite a bit to me, because I've been on such a development journey as I've looked at those motivations. So the first of all is understanding the differences, I suppose. So the words themselves will probably be quite familiar to you. Intrinsic, which is within, and extrinsic, which is external to us. And internal and external can be used interchangeably with the words intrinsic and extrinsic. When it comes to motivation is very complex. Our energy as people is very complex, and our willingness to put in additional effort is an interesting thing. So I'm hoping this is going to be an interesting podcast for business leaders, people who manage other people, and particularly business owners as well, because understanding this is absolutely vital. Now, many of the businesses we work with, where they're looking to try and improve performance, they'll look at training, and then from a motivation point of view, they just think that money is going to be the be all and end all, or will save all issues. And people tend to believe that too. So when I go and do training sessions and I say, well, what would make this place a better place to work? It'd be better if we got paid more money. Now, money's important. There's no doubting that. And ultimately, you know, I seek to make sure that we earn profitably, and that as a family, we have enough money to pay our bills and make sure that we have a nice life. But beyond a certain amount, it becomes much less important. Says me, who's not a millionaire, and no, I don't drive a massively fancy car or anything like that. But obviously, different things are important to different people. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you was the coaching journey I went on. So I've actually kept some of my notes from my first ever part of my NLP coaching journey. So I started to, one of the things that my coach told me to do was start to map what I thought success would look like. And I started off listing a load of stuff. This was just a brain dump. I've got it here on my phone. So I brain dumped some of the stuff that I thought success would look like. And maybe some of this will resonate with you as a listener. So I wanted to be happy and successful. I wanted the children to be independent. I wanted to have a happy and loving marriage with Maggie. I wanted to have a feeling of fulfillment and freedom and choice. I wanted to be able to travel and see the world. I wanted to be in good health, fit and energetic. But I also wanted to have nourishing and rewarding friendships. Okay, so those were some of the things that I felt success looked like, as well as I wanted to challenge and grow and improve the business and run and be profitable. I wanted to live in luxury. It'd be lovely to have a house with its own gym, a swimming pool, a supercar, all of those things. They'd be really nice things to have. That's what success looks like, right? When I started Flagship, I thought success looked like zeros in the bank account, a Lamborghini parked outside a mansion that had a gym and a swimming pool. Okay. Now, one of the things that I then did in a later coaching session was start to look at, out of those things that I thought success were, I started to look at I got tasked to look at what was extrinsic and intrinsic. Now, when I speak to people about their goals, most of them are about earning more money. They might be about being able to buy something that they really want. And those things are nice. You know, it is nice. I like a nice watch as much as the next person. I like a nice car as much as the next person. But at the same time, I realized that there are plenty of miserable millionaires. And why is that? And as I went on my personal development journey, as I built Flagship and we started to become more successful and we grew, and I started to struggle a little bit with what my meaning and purpose was, because I realized that actually I could achieve all of those things. I could achieve the mansion, I could achieve the money, we could be really successful, but actually, is that what's going to make me happy? And I had a little bit of an identity crisis, because I didn't really know if that was going to make me happy anymore, which was when I started doing my personal development. I started coaching with NLP, and later went on to go and do my NLP master practitioner, because it's really important to make sure we get these things right. If we're going in a certain direction, we need to know where we're heading, and we need to know what that is. And one of the key things that Bevis, my coach, said to me was, how do you know you're not successful now? And that was a really difficult thing to try and get my head around. So if I re-look at these things, which were the goals that I'd set, I wanted to be happy and successful. They're intrinsic, okay? So I get to decide whether I'm happy or successful. No one else does. That's my meaning. So that's intrinsic. That's something that I can focus on. I need to just focus on, well, what's going to make me happy? And I need to find that out. And what do I deem success to be, and start to map that. But it's easy when you start to look at success like I was doing, and actually start to focus on the external things that a lot of people in society and marketing, because ultimately we believe a lot of stuff because it's what the marketing machines and the big corporations are selling us. They sell us this dream that is going to make us happy. So the first one was, I wanted independent children. Now that's extrinsic. I can't make my children be independent, but what I can do is do my best to give them the skills that they need so that they can become independent. I wanted a happy and loving marriage with Maggie. Well, I can do my part, but that's a two-way street. Maggie needs to decide that she wants a happy and loving marriage. So all I can do is know that I can love Maggie and try and be the best husband that I can be for her, but I can't make that reciprocal. So I can do my bit for the marriage, but if the marriage, if there was a challenge with the marriage and I knew that I'd done everything, then I need to be satisfied that I've done everything. So that refocuses me on the things that controlling the controllables that I can control, which is being the best husband I can be, loving her the best I can love her, and be the best husband I can be, right?
Hi, it's Pete from Flagship Partners. We're proud to sponsor a Half Dozen Things podcast. Flagship Partners help their clients become safer, greener, and greater through a range of consultancy and training services. We offer audits through to risk assessments, contracts through to support with managing your culture, all the way from mandatory training through to management training as well. So if you need any support, please do get in touch with Flagship Partners today.
So that is then intrinsic, but actually having the happy marriage, is that about what people perceive a happy marriage to be? Is it because they think we look great together? Is it because when they see us, we're laughing and joking together? Who knows, right? Because that's up to them, right? But all that really matters, to me, is to make sure that I'm the best I can be for her, and I'm the most supportive that I can be. Feeling fulfillment and a freedom of choice, again, that's intrinsic, right? But ultimately, we need to realize that we are free. We're very fortunate to live in the 21st century, where ultimately we're able to make choices every day that certainly are, people before us haven't. A really interesting thing that I thought about when I thought about extrinsic motivations and people hunting for stuff is actually most of the people in the UK right now live a more lavish lifestyle than what kings and queens did just 100 years ago, or maybe a bit further back. But in the 1800s, we're living a much more luxurious life than what they were. Hot running water, flushing toilets, TV, internet, heating, all lovely clothes, the access to cars, all of those things. Like, we've got those things, and people still aren't happy. But we're living like kings and queens, or what kings and queens would have lived like. So what is the standard, right? And that's when we start to think about what's external and what's internal. So challenge to grow and the business, and for it to be profitable. Obviously, I can start to control those things. for the children to be secure. I can't make my children be secure, but what I can do is I can do my best to help support their future by doing the work that I'm doing. Living in luxury, having a house, having a pool, gym, supercar, all of that stuff, external. It's external to me. So hopefully that started to give you an idea of what the difference is between intrinsic and extrinsic motivations. Because the thing is, right, is once we start chasing extrinsic goals, we'll start to achieve them. And then we're just going to want more and more and more. And when does that stop? So the thing about intrinsic goals is, and intrinsic motivation is about having autonomy. It's about having freedom. It's about having choice. It's about looking at mastery. So what can I do to develop myself and be the best person that I can be? Look after my health, look after my wellness. And what is my purpose? What are the things that are most important to me? Those are the things I personally am focusing on what's intrinsic to me. But externally, people are motivated by achieving goals. They might be looking for praise or approval. So one of the things that I wrote that I haven't shared yet, which was a real big one, was that one of the reasons I started Flagship was I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted my parents to be proud of me, right? Which I know sounds a bit sad, okay? But that's something I wanted. I wanted to make my parents proud. And I think, truth be told, a lot of people want to make their parents proud. But that's external. That is external. Looking for praise and approval and recognition from my parents, that's external to me. Ultimately, I can only do my best. And whether they're proud or not is up to them, isn't it? Because I can't change. I can only focus on what I control, which is how I think, how I feel, how I behave, how I act, the things I say. Those are the only things that I can control. So looking for praise and approval, stop doing it. Stop it. Just be your best, be the best version that you can be, but don't seek for people's praise and approval. And then being motivated by winning a competition or winning an award or whatever it may be. So this is something that I look at with companies as well. We were looking at launching vision and values, and we look at launching reward mechanisms and those kinds of things. Now, the thing I focus on, we do look at external stuff. We look at making sure pay's right, because it is important that people get paid a fair wage for their work. But once it's a fair wage for their work, as long as they're getting well looked after, that is absolutely vital. But making sure that people get praise and recognition, it is important to make sure we say thank you. So I do dish out lots of praise and approval for people because it is important to people and it makes people feel good. And that's really, really important. And that helps build influence. But at the same time, realizing that that isn't what I should be seeking. I'm happy to give it, but at the same time, making sure that that's not what's driving me forward. I'm not saying that it's not a good thing to give, though. So please do make sure you give praise, make sure you give approval, make sure you give recognition and say thank you on a regular basis. Sorry, I feel like I'm being a dad here. Anyway, but does that make sense? I hope it makes sense to you. I hope it makes sense. But ultimately, the key is to really focus on what's intrinsic. What can you feel, think, control? What's in your sphere of influence? A really good example that I was taught a long time ago, which is part of the NLP way. It's part of the Stoic philosophy that I read. E plus R equals O. There is an event. The event is external to you. You then get to respond, which is R. You have a response ability. So how able are you to respond effectively to that event that's occurred? It might be a death in your family, or it might be a severe illness. It could be anything terrible that might happen to you or to someone you love. And you have an ability to respond, and how you choose to respond creates that outcome. Now, obviously, I've used some major scenarios there, which is, obviously we all grieve and we all have sadness and we all have bad things that happen to us, and it can be really, really hard. But I think the best thing to do is to think about an everyday event that might that might occur. There's an event that occurs, and then we have an ability to respond. And we then decide, is that a positive event or a negative event, or is it just an event? And I've got to now respond to that, which then creates, the outcome. So we get to choose. We get to choose what the outcome is by focusing on the way we respond. And that, in a nutshell, is understanding, what Stoic philosophy is teaching us and what we learn through NLP as well. Anyway, just a RUSHcast. I hope it's been interesting. I hope that's been helpful. I will go into more detail in future episodes, but have a think about what is motivating you. Is it extrinsic or is it intrinsic? And how's that working for you right now? Please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. If you want some support on what is motivating you, or if you want to talk about this in a greater depth, reach out, give me a shout. I'm here to help. Obviously, I'm speaking to people on a regular basis now from a coaching point of view and helping them really transform their lives by making sure that they're focusing on the things that they can control, making sure that they are finding their own success, finding their own happiness by focusing on what's internal to them. So if that sounds great, give me a shout, get in touch. Anyway, it's been lovely chatting, and I hope to see you on the next one.
I really hope you loved today's episode, and if you did, please make sure you subscribe and listen out for future episodes too. Please do share it across your social media channels. We hope to reach more and help more people. If you want to find out more about me, my name's Pete Rushmer. You'll find me across any social media channel and my business, Flagship Partners, and we're your partners in success across your business. Thank you. See you again soon.